Hi guys, welcome to Legit Radio. This is Aliyah Banks. I am a San Diego State University student right now. I am a just-in-time participant, and I was in foster care from 13 to 17.
What's up, guys? My name is Omar. I am a just-in-time staff member. I've been a part of just-in-time since 2017. I work in the marketing department, and I was in foster care like from the age of 9. We can get into like those stories later, but that's how I relate to just-in-time and how I got involved because I wanted to help youth who had gone through similar experiences as I had, and I'm here to empower everyone that is in touch with or whoever's in part of just-in-time. I'll try to empower them.
All right. My name is Stephany Polanco. I am a marketing intern at Just in Time, and I went through foster care from the age of 12 to 17. I aged out, and I'm just looking to bring a little fresh insight to you guys today.
Sweet. Yeah, well, welcome to the Just in Time Radio Show, podcast for foster youth by foster youth. So welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Today's topic is on
Tips for foster parents.
Tips for foster parents.
Woo.
I feel like this is a super important topic, which is why we really wanted to bring it to light and kind of get into some good stuff. So, blessedly, I've only been through 2 foster homes. One was a decent experience, one not so much. So this is why we're coming to you guys and bringing this good information. First things first, we want to start off with tips for welcoming in your foster youth. So when we think about like youth and us coming into new homes or a foster home, like what would we want to be comfortable in? Like what would you look for coming in as a new youth that would make you comfortable in a home where you don't know people?
When I first got into foster care and I got into my first foster home, I was like so closed. So I think just being a very welcoming and very like warm feeling, that definitely helps. And it definitely helped me in my experience when I got into foster care. A lot of my foster parents were very like, always asked me like, you know, did I like this, did I did not, you know, and I was for the most part very quiet. That's like one of the first tips, like as an icebreaker, like just be very welcoming and like ask a lot of questions, see what they like, what they don't like, you know?
So for me, I expect a clean house. That foster kid deserves a clean home.
Agreed.
So I remember the first foster home that I went to go do a trial with. I was lucky enough to trial because I'm glad I did not say yes. This home, you guys, was in a ranch, and it was not the cleanliest. The lady could not upkeep the ranch because it was so big. Even her home, she had so many pets. There was like dog hair, cat hair. It was everywhere. So that for me was like a big, I cannot live there because I grew up in a home that was not the most cleanly. So
the setup has to be
huge.
Not appealing, but we want a warm home.
A decent, clean home. That's like my biggest thing. And then not just that, but like don't be too on top of like your youth when they first come into your home, because like we're starting to get comfortable. We're trying to familiarize ourselves while we unpack our stuff. Like, yeah, check in on us and stuff, because I did appreciate that, but I still needed time to like acclimate and get used to the new environment that I was in. So I just needed a few moments to kind of like process stuff myself coming into a new home and learning the environment. And sometimes when they would like get too like, how do I say it? It wasn't intrusive. They had a good intention.
It was like...
But I just needed a little more time to process that I was in this house. So maybe just like give them an hour or something to like get situated first, and
give
then
like a week.
Have like a little rundown for them.
I need a week.
That's like one of mine.
What about you?
So I would agree that first thing is to create a welcoming environment and not to be like smothering. I think that's the word you were looking for. And yeah, so create a cleanly space for sure. And I was just thinking when you guys were sharing like what I was feeling when I first was placed into foster care. And I think the most important thing to note and have like for those foster parents who are listening is that like this is a very traumatic experience. So like the kid's brain is like processing everything. Like one, they probably want to go back with their parents. That was my situation. I didn't want to be in foster care. Like I believed that my home was the best. Like my parents weren't fighters. Just to give a little bit more backstory, like why I went to foster care, my mom was going through delusions. She was going through like a mental breakdown, like a hard mental breakdown. We didn't know what it was. And so she started hearing voices, and she believed that God was talking to her. And so like that was the situation that placed us into foster care. So like I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my brothers, and then now I got to we were separated. So like I'm getting emotional right now.
Your brothers weren't able to come with you?
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. So one of my brothers, Ivan.
It's okay. You got this. You got this.
Damn it. Yeah. So the one brother I was able to stay with the most was Ivan, but all my other siblings got separated.
Aww.
So yeah, I was just trying to remind the foster parents, it's a very traumatic experience. So you want to make sure you're in tune with what they're what the kid is
going through. Yeah.
Feeling or. Shit, I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good. No. That's exactly what it is. It's like reliving things. It's okay to get emotional
and talk about it and let it out. Have your raw emotions.
I didn't expect to do that. So
I never knew. I'm learning so much about Shamar right now. So I'm like, wow. But I would understand that how just one day, like you say, your parents were never abusive. You ate every day, and it was just probably something as a young child you fully didn't understand. And then it's now I got to go to someone's house, and it's yeah, I get it. That's a lot. But how many siblings did you have? Just asking.
So we're 5 altogether.
Okay.
And then it's also another point is every kid is going to be different. What depending on their age they're in and depending on what they went through from at their home and what their upbringing was like. So I think the best thing to do is just be comforting. And I know Stephany wanted to bring up the point of being encouraging. Yes. And you brought up the point about naming, how to.
That's a big thing. So when your youth first come in, or somebody like myself comes in, my biggest thing, you guys, because I already have a mom that I love dearly. So when I came into my last foster home when I was about 17, they were older, traditional Hispanic, and so it was very different walking in, because usually foster parents give you a choice, what you'd like to be called, or they'll call you Miss Ramirez or, whatever. And this foster home didn't give me an option. So when I went in, I was forced to call them mom and dad, but in particular, it was mamaita. And who the heck wants to call somebody that they've only known for 30 minutes?
Seconds, right.
Nobody does. I can tell you that was the most uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
I also have a really big thing, with, I never had a father figure growing up. And so he was very, inconsistent. And so I have a problem with, male authority, right? So having to call somebody papa that I don't know, that's just weird. And that was, nah, I'm sorry, but as much as I did want to open up to this person, I couldn't, because I wasn't even given the option of what to call them.
Be yourself.
And I think another reason, I can get into that a little bit more. I have a history with male authority that didn't treat me well. So for me, it's really hard to listen to male instruction and direction. And so trying to have a relationship with this person that was super machista, he didn't give me any space to be myself or anything. And that's kind of a environment that I came from, is being controlled and all this stuff. So it was definitely
So how would you
hard.
tell someone who is not saying that they're machista, but maybe they're a strong male figure in the home and their foster parent, foster dad, what would be your recommendation to them?
I think maybe let the child come to you. Don't really put too much strain on the relationship of I'm trying to be your father figure and I'm just looking out for you. Build a relationship and a rapport with the youth, and then slowly start leaning into healthy boundaries or healthy discipline. I think that would have been better is if he actually tried to have a relationship with me before telling me what to do, how to do it.
And how would someone build a relationship? What would that look like?
It's hard for me because I didn't have that opportunity with him. So I think for me, it's just start off with casual conversation. Don't be what happened in your life, because that's not something I want to start off with. But just regular conversations. How are you? What are you doing? How's your day? What are you into? And if you know that the youth is into something, try to get to learn about that topic so that way you can relate to them and you can have some kind of correlation relationship with your youth. I think that that's a big thing. Find things that the youth are into that you might somewhat be interested in or so that you guys can have something to bond over. I think that's a big thing, just letting them be themselves.
My foster dad, First off, I didn't have to call them mom and dad. Thank God.
You don't have to call Mamaita.
Like, bro, what?
Sound like a reggaeton song.
Right? Like,
Mama.
Like, yeah, not happening. But what I was about to say, my foster dad, he was pretty cool. I believe, honestly, they just read the room with me. My foster mother kind of took most of the time up with me. But my foster dad, like, he was an accountant, and like he would always like ask me about school. So he was like the school guy to me. He would always ask me, he would always say like, hey, if you're having problems in math, like, you could come and speak to me about it. And he would like wake up early in the morning and like on weekends, like go out to like go food shopping. And one day I was like, can I go with you? And he was like, sure. I was like, all right, cool. They were really cool. They were really like easy going and stuff like that. When I got there, they asked me what I wanted to be called. They asked me, do I speak to my mom? Again, encouraged relationships with my outside family, which was pretty cool to me. But yeah, and I really just think he just really played the field and like read the room and was like, she's opening up. And then I started to open up more. So that's where that was. But my foster dad is really, really cool. Shout out to Mr. Coombs and Mrs. Coombs.
And this was in New York?
Yes, this is in New York City. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn with my foster parents. I'm a Herkimer baby.
So where would they take you? Like the fun places?
We would do fun stuff all the time. They took me to Kalamazoo. Is that Chicago? Is that Illinois? I don't know. But they took me to Kalamazoo. So they took me on like family trips. They took me like to family baby showers, birthday parties. Like they took me everywhere. We would go to like Coney Island. We would school stuff. She was always there. Like,
they actually made you feel like family.
Honestly, to this day, I'm 25 years old. We still good. We still family. So that's amazing. They still tell me happy birthday and stuff like that. Graduated, they were big on school and everything like that. So my foster parents were very engaging. And that's kind of something that I needed because my mom was a single mom. She worked all the time. So now going to a home where like I had a foster mother who was home when I got home. Mm-hmm. I seen her when I left for school. I seen her when I got back from school. I think that was just a cool thing for me. And she was still very successful. She was still very financially stable. And I just was able to see like, an older Black woman could still have the time for her family, but still do so much with her extra time. So it was really cool. I really love my foster parents. They were really, really, really dope, honestly.
I'm really glad that you...
and I thank God because that's really not everybody's experience. And this is why we do things like JIT Radio. And we go, we participate in Just in Time because we want to have that awareness to where we can talk about the good relationships, but we can also talk about like some of the issues that are in the foster care system. And we could use these good homes and foster parents as models to other foster parents coming up, like, this is what we're at, what youth need. So
I like that because you covered on, I think, 3 topics that like I want to hit. So one being like another thing, you said that when you came into the home that they gave you an option. They said, hey, what do you want to go by? So that's another thing. I think that's something that's like super important because sometimes coming into the system, like some kids don't want to identify with their old selves. So they'll go by a new name and they even like get name changes and stuff. Like I know that somebody growing up that I grew up with in foster care, she hated being called by her original name. She changed her name. I'm not going to say.
She changed her name too?
It wasn't Mamaita, was it?
Nah, but it was a really cute name. And even like the system encouraged her changing her name. And like she
like
had
legally changed her name.
Yeah, legally changed her name. She had support through the court system, social workers. Everybody supported her through this. So I think that that's also really important. And then I think another thing, like welcoming them into your home, just because I feel like these are super important, is something that I wish I could have had is the opportunity to customize my room, even if it was for a short period of time. Even if you have like a little $50 for them or something, take them to Walmart, take them to Target to just be able to get something that they want so that they can make it feel like home. Or if they want to print out a picture of a family member or something, take them to do that because I think that's really important.
That's dope.
That's a really great tip.
Word. I like that one. I did customize the room though. I got to pick like what bed sheets and stuff. I was pretty spoiled, bro. I really was, but
that's okay.
Thank God. I really do. That's why I used to tell my mom all the time, I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here and I got good foster parents. So
that's good. So you should just like keep describing what good things they were doing.
My foster parents always would ask me about like my mental health, like how I was feeling, how was school, how was just like things my mom wasn't able to do because again, single mother, 2 kids, working all day, every day. She was just able to ask me like how I was feeling, what I would like to do. So growing up, I was a football team manager for Erasmus Hall football, and I was there every Saturday for games up at 9 a.m. I was at some practices. I would be at, other game day related things. And she just always would push me. She would always wake me up on Saturdays. She would always, if I woke myself up, she'd be like, she'll check in with me like, I'm making you breakfast. So I'll have breakfast before the game. Like she just showed ways of like support. And especially like when I was going through like just rekindling with my mom, it was still a lot of turmoil. And I would always like vent to her like, I'm over it. Like, I don't care. I don't need them. I'm good. I'm gonna be good. And she would always be like, you only got one mom, you only got one family, you only got these aunts and uncles, like that's your tribe. So, you gotta get good back with them. And she just always let me be myself. Like she never was like, you can't wear this, can't wear that, you can't do this, you can't do that. She kind of told me like moderation, how to be a young lady, how to have poise, how to just be open. And in the beginning it was really hard. I was really closed off, but she just helped me like smile again and just start thinking about emotions again. So I really like appreciate them. Also like with food and stuff, like they asked me like what I wanted to eat. So I grew up with Trinidadian foster parents in Brooklyn, and it was never like, oh, you got to eat what I eat, even though the food is a maize sauce. It was always like, do you still want this? Do you still want that? I know you eat pizza. I know you eat spaghetti. I know you eat this. Like, do you want me to cook this?
They give you options.
Give me options. Always ask me. And even if it was like a meal that they knew were like, it was super Trinidadian, they're like, I don't know if Aliyah will like it. They would literally bring me another like different plate of food or something like that. And then I'll be like, well, wait, I actually like this. So I'll eat that food.
Which is actually pretty dope.
So it was cool. I got to see like, I got to still be myself, but I got to see their way of life and culture and what they eat and stuff like that. So I actually learned being there,
I think diet is something super important too.
Yeah.
Like it's
definitely
not
wanted to
something,
talk about that.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The last foster home that I went into, dude, the food was always good. I have no complaints about the food. Like, actually, this is how I know that, like, I've always liked baking and stuff, right? But my foster mother was actually a baker. And so she was the one that kind of gave me the freedom to mess around in the kitchen and start kind of like igniting that. So that's actually where that originally really came from.
You now have a baking business.
So yeah, it's called Sweetology. Check me out on Instagram.
Check her out.
No, but I do think that it's like super important to just be aware of like what they eat, what they're into, and if they don't like something, don't force them to eat it, because that's like the worst thing that you could do. Like, I remember my foster mom force feeding one of the girls soup, and then the little girl threw it all over the table, you guys, and it was the saddest thing ever. Oh my God. And so that's why I say, like, be mindful. Like, if you're a foster parent, of what your youth likes to eat. You can never go wrong with cinnamon rolls, okay? So if you want a nice breakfast, hook them up with some cinnamon rolls.
Cereal goes a long way. Cereal, guys,
a variety
goes
of cereal.
A long way. I know, Omar, you really didn't want to be in foster care, but what are some things that you did with your foster parents, or how you guys communicated? What did you eat? How was that?
Yeah, when we were thinking about like what to share, the one positive experience with one foster family that I had was they were really good cooks. Okay. And one of the things that they would do for us, they would warm up cinnamon rolls in the microwave and like add butter and add whipped cream. And like I remember this to this day. I know it was like junk food, but it was comforting food. Right. So maybe like every once in a while, just give some comfort food.
Yeah, I was always able to get like a snack. Like she would be like, you got to get a fruit, you got to get a vegetable. And then you get a snack.
We would eat like 4 times a day at my home. We would have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and before dinner, we would have a snack. And then after dinner, she'd be like, y'all hungry? We'd be like, yeah, I'm trying to get some food. And so let's just say I was definitely well fed.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with foster parents that were like, drink water. I was able to drink juice all night if I wanted.
Yo, ham and cheeses, man. Those were my thing. Like, they always had a whole bunch of hams and turkeys and croissants because they knew that that's what I like.
A croissant goes a long way. Or them Costco muffins, if you cut them into 2. Now you got 2 muffins.
Because they're extra large.
They're so
they're
big.
jumbo.
You don't need all of
Those
that, you
lemon
know?
ones are good. They have these
So
lemon
good.
cake ones.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking, like one of the big takeaways would be to learn what the youth likes.
Yeah.
And then try to bring that to them.
And apply it. Yeah, and apply it. And if you feel like as a foster parent, there's room for improvement, you just got to find a way to impact the youth, because once the youth is impacted, whatever you're trying to get across to them, they're going to understand, and it's going to happen. So just get to know a person and just be open and be welcoming, be authentic, be yourself, baby.
You know, something else, y'all, that I think is super important. Religion.
Yeah, I was going to
Religion.
say, we talked about culture, and that's something that
I think this is the biggest thing. Like, I think that religion, well, one, finding out if your youth is religious. Like, do they believe in God? Do they have a relationship? And if they do, what kind of relationship? What religion is it? And don't offend them if they do have a religion. And if they're not part of the religion that you're practicing, don't force that religion on the youth.
Don't.
Like, I remember I love them. I don't know if I love them, actually. I'm going to take that back. I really appreciated certain aspects of my last foster home, but the one aspect that I really did not appreciate was being locked out of my house because I did not want to go to Catholic
mass
with them.
So they would leave you
I would get left outside.
because you didn't want to go to church.
Yeah, and so they would tell me, like, kind of figure it out on your own or be in the back. And so luckily there was a rec center, you guys.
Oh, thank God.
And so I would go to this rec center and I would go play sports or I would go swim. And my main thing was because in my group home, previous to this, you guys, I loved playing ping pong. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds so silly, but I would I mastered it. Like, I'm
you
good
were Forrest
at it.
Gump over there?
Yeah.
I want the smoke.
I even had I mastered the little spin, you know, like the angle.
Oh,
I was good. And so I would go to the rec center and I would try to play ping pong with people.
She was out there with the headband, the little wrist.
She be with the older men on Sunday mornings, like, come on, Stephany. But I'm glad you was able to find a positive out of it.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, don't force anything on anybody, especially religion. We're already going through a lot of things personally with our families. And if we become religious or not, let that be on our own terms and our own time. And yeah, I understand as foster parents, you want to, give us principles and, beliefs and things that should push us in a positive light, but still just don't push a religion. That's
parenting.
Deep. Yeah, gentle parenting, please.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I'm thinking there's like, I don't know if we need to say this or not, but I think there's like 2 types of foster parents. Ones who like really want to give back and help a youth, and there's others who just like,
give me the
this
check.
is an extra income, easy income. And then so I believe whoever is like listening to this is because they do want to be better. So
Yeah.
$100%.
like just having you listen to this is going to be beneficial because you can be like, oh, I catch yourself doing a couple of things and maybe avoid certain things or do certain things so that the youth does have a positive experience in your home. If you're listening because you want to improve and you want to create an environment that is healthy, I'm trying to like make an analogy of this is like 2 cultures coming together, right? And how do you make that like blend easily?
I like that.
Yeah, you got to be aware of what's working and like, okay, I got to do that more, or it does take a little extra effort, I think. Back to the point about like there's 2 types of foster parents, ones who like care and one who don't. So the ones who care maybe are caring too much. So like knowing like how to back up a little bit.
Balance,
Because
right.
back to your point, like being too smothering. And I know you guys, like a lot of people have good hearts and they want to like help the youth, but like sometimes it's not time yet.
Yeah, not just that, but like when it comes, because you hit smothering. So like some youth don't like hugs. Some youth don't like to be touched. Oh. And I know as parents, when you have your own children, or if like, even if not, but like you see someone sad and you see someone going through something, I'm a hugger, I'm a lover. So I would initially just want to go hug you. But they need to understand that some people are not used to touch. Some people were not used to growing up with that kind of
Don't take it
expression.
personal. Don't take it
And
personal.
so like, just like maybe ask, like, okay, I know you're going through something right now, but can I give you a hug? Or how are you when it comes to like physical touch. Like, are you okay with giving me a hug? Are you okay with like expressing yourself? Do you want to talk now or do you not want to talk?
Yeah, it's all about learning. It's about learning, like
Baby steps.
It's like buying a new car that already has some miles in it.
And then
And like, okay, the clutch doesn't work. I gotta pump the brakes 2 times. Like, you gotta know like how the car works.
Tips and tricks.
Yeah, that's another analogy.
The foster
nuggets.
parents are out of the hot seat. You guys can get up, get out of the hot seat. And we're gonna go to the youth. And I just wanted to talk about like some advice for the youth when you get into a new home, a new living situation, a new living setting. They can be from group homes to foster homes to a whole bunch of stuff. But we want to specifically talk about in a new home. Advice from me for youth going into a new foster home. What I would say is try to be open. Please be respectful. And also, if you feel like anything is not right, please go say something to your agency, to your caseworker, because at the end of the day, you deserve the best living situation that's out there. And we always want to make sure that you're comfortable, because that is the only way you're going to be able to heal, learn, grow, go to school. You need to be in a safe environment and you need to feel like that. So if you don't feel like that, or you see things that aren't up to your par, you know it's not supposed to be like that, always stick up for yourself and say something. So that's one of my biggest advice for youth. And just make conscious decisions. And again, be respectful, be caring. This is someone else's home, so just try to be respectful. I know sometimes we're not in a good mental state, emotional state. Just take time to understand that these people are here. But if you feel like, it's not really like that, always just stick up for yourself and make sure you get yourself in that living situation that is best for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. They need to learn to like voice their concerns.
Be advocates for themselves. If you don't advocate for yourself, nobody is going to.
I had to advocate for myself a lot in foster care.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. I think that's when I kind of learned how to gain a voice, because living in group homes, I needed clothes. Who was I going to ask for clothes? I had to go talk to the director to go ask for clothes.
Yep.
Like, so those are things that are extremely important. Another thing is, like, if you have a healthy relationship with someone outside that you meet at school, a family member that you have a healthy relationship with that you still want to be, the system is now encouraging family connections. Mm-hmm. So it's important that you voice who you want to speak to, so that way, I don't know if they have contact lists anymore. You know how back then they used to have authorized contact lists of people who you could call. So I don't know if they do that anymore, but if they do, advocate for that. Advocate for your relationships that you have outside of foster care, so you can still have that sense of normalcy, and so that way you can see them without hesitation. And if you are a foster parent, encourage healthy relationships with their family members.
Yeah, that's a good
My foster mom would be like, "Oh, you got a new friend? Bring her over." And I'd be like, "It's okay." She's like, "Yeah, you got your own room. Like, bring her over." I'd be like, "All right, cool."
Mine would be like, "Leave them at the door." So
that's a great point. Yeah, helping them stay in touch with family members.
Yeah.
And creating those new relationships in those new places. Because I was a foster kid where I was in one high school, and then next week, like the next 4 months after being in the group home, I was in a new high school. So it was just very helpful that she was like, help bring them upstairs. I'll cook them some food. Like, it was just very welcoming and very nice. And it encouraged me to be more nice to people.
Yeah, you're very nice. You're very bubbly and friendly.
Try to be.
We just know she ain't a morning person.
Not a morning person.
Yeah, don't ever do things in the morning.
Anything before 10, whoa.
So we have one more tip, and then I think we'll close it off, and then it's healthy discipline.
Okay.
So if there's going to be cases when there's going to be misbehavior, and so finding ways discipline the youth
where they get it.
Without not overstepping, but just like, if they're doing what they have to do, the youth, like going to school, hanging out with friends and stuff, like, you're giving them that freedom. But as soon as that violations start happening, say they start messing up in school, okay, well, you tell them, okay, well, instead of being like, why are you doing that? Or like, be like, okay, well, what's going on? How are you feeling? Why do you feel like you're not doing so well? What can I do to help you? Can I get you tutoring? Can I help you with your homework? So give them options, but as well as like discussing the issue with them. And if improvement is still not happening, then at that time, I think is when it's important to be like, okay, what, this time you're not doing well in school, so I don't think that at this time you should be going out with your friends, and maybe you should be focusing on any missing assignments. I think that's maybe a good example, instead of just like being like, okay, that's it, I'm cutting you off of everything.
Yeah. Giving them like an explanation of like, like you did Y, so you don't get X type of thing.
Exactly.
I was a bad kid, y'all. I was a bad kid with my real mom, with my foster mom. I was pretty bad, but I was never disrespectful to like them and their home. I just was like, this is my show, and I'm gonna do what I want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And I'm like 15, so they're looking at me like, bro, what? But my foster parents were very vocal. When I would come home late, come home smelling like something I'm not supposed to smell like. They would take away my TV. They would tell me like no allowance. They would tell me like, you got to come straight home after school. Like, I know you get out of school 3:20. I need you here at 4:15. Like, so it was like, and it hit for me because growing up with my mom, she was like, she was tough. My mom was tough. And it was really like, all right, you did bad. Here you go. That's it, you know? With my foster parents, it was like, look, Aliyah, we had this agreement. You said you was going to do this, and you're not doing this. So now I have to take things away from you because you tested my respect. Like, you don't really respect me. You don't really care about what I'm doing for you. And I got it. And I started to realize like, this is the things that I'm doing are a form of disrespect. And if I really respect and care about these people, I'm not going to do that. So it was a lot of like sitting down. And then also I would like not go to school. I would leave her house and like just not go to school because I just didn't want to go. That part was really like a self thing that I had to want to do. And she just kind of sat me down like, look, you're kind of hurting yourself. Everybody here has a degree. Everybody, we living life great. And I know that you like school, you're good at school, but you need to go. And one day I just started to go to school. I would tell her like, I really don't want to go to school today. And she'd be like, all right.
It goes back to, I think, gentle parenting. Yeah. And again, not just telling them, well, you messed up, so now this is going to happen. It's about explaining the process of things that are going on. And again, gentle parenting.
And she actually told me how she felt about when I did these things. And I think that's what helped me, and I could see it. Like she
humanized herself.
Right. And a lot of the times when I would come home late, I could see the worry on her face. I could see the confusion on her face. So it was like, all right, Aliyah, stop being like this, and never hit me, never yelled at me, never belittled me, never called me anything out of my name, and was just very communicative. And when I was in trouble, I didn't feel like crap. Like she didn't make me feel like that. It was just a conversation, and it was. Later, you don't got no TV.
You know what? Another thing, because I remember like when I would be upset, one time my foster dad followed me all the way up to my room when I needed space and was like banging on my door, you guys. So I think another big thing is like, give them space. If they're upset and they're telling you, hey, I need some space right now, I'll come back and talk to you when I'm ready, then do that. Because if not, it's not going to go well and it's just going to continue being reactive. And not just that, if your kid tells you that they're sick, believe them. Don't wait for them to faint in front of you and then think that they're still joking, because this is something that happened to me. I was really sick, y'all. And I was telling my parents, I was like, hey, like, I'm not feeling good. And I was upstairs in the room by myself. And I was like, no, I don't feel normal. Like, I feel like something's going to happen. And like, when you hear like that little subconscious, like, hey, like, go downstairs, or like, just because like something's off and your body's telling you. You guys, so I walked downstairs and I was like, hey, I'm not feeling good. And the moment that I was trying to tell them what's wrong with me, I don't remember anything. I blacked out. Next thing you know, I was on the floor.
Oh, my God.
And they were still sitting there staring at me, you guys.
What?
Like, they still thought that I was joking.
Just like you was
that I was
putting on a play.
Yeah. And I'm never someone that complains like that. Like, so when they finally saw that I was unresponsive for a good minute and I was still trying to come back to life is when they got up and they reacted and took me to the hospital. Yeah. But it shouldn't get to that point.
No.
They need to make sure that, like, if someone's telling you, hey, I'm not feeling good, don't think it's a joke.
And I would say that. And I would say that. And I would be playing. And she'd be like, okay, cool, let's go to the doctor. I'd be like, damn. She'd be like, I got time. Don't worry. We can go down right to Brooklyn Hospital. I'd be like,
I'll get the keys. Go put your shoes on.
She'd be like, you want something on the way there since you're not feeling good? I'm like, oh, now you're guilt tripping me. I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to just go a little late. I'm going right now.
Cool. Is there anything else we want to share before we close off?
I mean, I have something for youth. The only thing that I want to say to like the youth is, if you are transitioning into a new foster home, or if you're currently in foster care, if you're experiencing having to go from home to home, just know that it is okay to feel scared. It is okay to feel anxiety, but things will get better. And there's people that care about you out here. So
Definitely.
that's what I got to say to you guys. There's light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the day, there's always sunshine. Mañana será bonito.
And you will find your adopted or your inherited tribe. Don't worry.
And not just that. For those of you that don't know what mañana será bonito means,
'Cause I don't. I needed that.
Tomorrow will be a beautiful day. If today is not a good day, tomorrow will be. And if today is a good day, tomorrow will be too.
Nice. So like what Glorilla said.
I don't know.
I hate today, but I love tomorrow.
There you go.
And with that, we are closing and saying
We're
goodbye.
out of here. Thank you for joining JIT Radio.